last season was very, very ugly for a lot of rookie quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, one of the best QB prospects since Peyton Manning, looked awful. Zach Wilson, awful. Justin Fields, awful. Mac Jones and surprisingly Davis Mills were the only ones that seemed to have panned out, and Davis Mills would seem to have been found by an accident. So the question is to ask you guys now: should rookie QBs start day one?
No, I think for the vast majority of these
Go ahead,
guys.
JQ. You wanted to. Oh, Johnny wants to start it.
But did you introduce JQ first? JQ, you want to jump into it first? Because I
I
have a
mean,
strong
I,
opinion on this. You jump in
I
first.
what Johnny T basically said, I agree with. I think it's hard to throw a quarterback in year one, but like I get it. Like Trevor Lawrence is the number one overall pick. You need this guy to like lead your team. Like I understand that. I get it. But like I feel like it's tough because a lot of those top picks are going to bad teams. You know what I'm saying? Like Zach Wilson. The only one that went to a good team was Trey Lance, and he got to basically sit the whole year and kind of learn behind Jimmy G, whatever he.
Mac Jones.
But it's just I think it's just tough to throw a guy in like right away into like the fire pit and just be like, all right, like go out there and like produce for us. Like look at Trevor Lawrence. He had oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. Who was his head coach last year? What the heck's the guy's name?
Urban Meyer.
Urban
Yes,
Meyer.
yeah, I'm sorry. Urban, like I forget it because it's he should forget about that timeline in his career.
Yeah.
He's got Urban Meyer. The guy's like not even half there, like half the time, like paying attention to. I think it's just hard to win and succeed in a situation like that, and then it makes him look bad. And they're like, "Oh, he's the number one pick. He should shine right away." So I just think it depends where like the player goes. Like Daniel Jones' first year, he sat the first two games and then he ended up playing the third game. They benched Eli. Pat Shurmur benched him. So and you saw like he had that sick game against the Bucks, but then the rest of the year he was just getting killed, turnover prone, this and that. I just think it's tough, for a quarterback to come in right away and succeed. But I think like year two, you sit out a year. I think a lot of these guys could shine and really show their true potential. So
I think you look at first overall picks. The first guy I think of is Alex Smith.
yeah,
Because you look at Aaron Rodgers, he was in the same exact draft class. Aaron got to sit 3 years behind Brett Favre. Then you flash it back, or flash it forward to 2021. Alex Smith and Steve Young, they're on the table for one of the primetime games. They have a debate whether or not a rookie quarterback should sit. Steve Young goes to Tampa Bay as the first overall pick, and it was pretty bad his first 2 seasons there. And then guess what happened? He got to sit behind Joe Montana. But what Steve Young ended up saying that was in this debate with Alex, I learned more in those 2 years in Tampa Bay where I struggled than I did in those four seasons playing behind Joe Montana. And he says that he's an old school guy. I say to myself, maybe for him that was the case, but for most young quarterbacks today, there is a big difference between sitting behind a Joe Flacco who's been in the NFL for over a decade, or even if it's a Nick Foles or Andy Dalton, a veteran that's been there, and you get to see him run your offense. You get to see the mistakes he makes on film. You get to correct those, and in practice, that game week, you're constantly watching them. You're preparing as if you're going to be the starter, and so you get that expectation of what the NFL is, and it could really feel out what it's going to be like when you step in there. Because if I'm a franchise investing a first overall pick into a guy, it's such a big opportunity. I'm going to do everything I can to set him up to succeed. And the biggest young thing for a quarterback, we were talking about Carson Wentz before, is confidence. It's the belief in oneself. And I look at the NBA. When you throw a quarterback out there or a young player and they suck and they're losing, that changes their mindset in many ways. You're losing your first 4 years in the NFL. That can affect you because then when it's time to start winning, you've been losing for 4 straight years, it can really mess with your mind because you're not used to that mentality and your overall approach to the game is different because of all the losses that you've took. And for me, I look at Trevor Lawrence this last season. People are proclaiming him the best quarterback prospect since him or that. I think Joe Burrow was the best quarterback prospect before him since Andrew Luck. I think in Andrew Luck or Joe Burrow, those are the two best quarterback prospects in my opinion since Peyton Manning. Those two guys, I think, you expect them to have the intangible traits and the skill level to completely turn a franchise around. Those are the type of quarterbacks I'm starting week one, especially at the Colts. You cut Peyton Manning because you believe in Andrew Luck that much, you start him week one. And as we saw as a rookie, Andrew Luck led the NFL in comebacks that got to the playoffs in spite of all kinds of adversity. Joe Burrow as a rookie tore his ACL. Even still, he had a lot of really good games there's some bad moments too. I think those are the only two guys I'm really starting week one. You look at Baker Mayfield and Alex Smith, even a Sam Darnold in New York. You throw those guys out there to the Wolves, and guess what happens? You waste that first round pick just to trade them years later for a third rounder. That third rounder maybe doesn't come nothing. I'm saying screw that. Let's put this young guy like Trey Lance in a situation where he can sit behind a veteran, learn, and most importantly, grow into the best version of himself. So out there.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of good points you made. I do.
I would also say to add to that list of QBs that succeeded right off the bat, Cam Newton. He had an incredible, I think, back-to-back games in first two games in his rookie year.
Robert Griffin, of course, is the other one.
Robert Griffin was offensive rookie of the year. He was electric. But yeah, I think it's always a case by case basis. I think just like like we can lay out guys who succeeded from day one, and we can lay out guys who failed from day one. It's all about a lot of factors go into it. Situation, coaching staff. Is this regime that you're with? Are they on the hot seat? Will they be fired after 1 year, and you're gonna have to start all over again? Stability, confidence, like John said. Player talent around you. It has a lot of factors go into it. I mean, listen, Peyton Manning had a terrible first year, led the league in interceptions, but we see how Peyton panned out. Dak Prescott, he had a great rookie year. We've seen his career take off as a for me somewhere right outside the top 10 quarterbacks. Yeah, it's all about where you are and what's going on around you, and sometimes it works out, like Andrew Luck, and sometimes or Patrick Mahomes in the case of sitting for a year, or Aaron Rodgers, or sometimes it flames out like a Blaine Gabbert, or Jake Locker, Christian Ponder. List goes on and on.
Jaguars quarterback.
I'm a big believer in the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So yeah, if your quarterback is clearly the most talented guy out there in the QB room, play him. See what he has. Everybody's gonna go through some growing pains. Why am I gonna wait 2-3 years for him to go through it? I don't see that. I honestly think about Jared Goff. Jared Goff walked into a terrible situation with the Rams with Jeff Fisher as his head coach, and it was a disaster when he finally got the quarterback job. And I don't think he started right away that season. He came in later on that year, but it was ugly. And then next season, everything that he went through that previous year, he grew upon it, he built, and then he leads his team to the playoffs. And granted that they had a different head coach, but I feel like you should play them, man. I think Zach Wilson will be better because of this. I think Trevor Lawrence, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, he will be better because of it. I think you just got to throw it out there. I think players are just too soft. If we're going to be like, oh, his confidence is going to be hurt. Oh my gosh. No, grow the hell up. You're a top pick in the draft. You're making millions of dollars. This is what you're expected to do. You're going to go through it. They knew you were going to go through it. So you play it out. And then if you don't get better from it, then you just were never the guy in the first place if you can't get better from it. I look at that. You guys mentioned RG3. Andrew Luck was in there. Russell Wilson was there. RG3, I think that they all made the playoffs in their rookie season. Am I right?
Yeah.
Wilson and Griffin, yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Yep. Just throw them out there, man. They're not kids. They're not kids. They're in their 20s. They're making millions. You play them. Like I said, if they can't handle it, if they play poorly that first year and they can't grow, then they were never your guy in the first place.
I get behind that. 100%. I get behind that.
I do agree with that too, J-Ray. That was a very good point too. Very well presented too, J-Ray.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.